All right, hi there everybody. Well, you probably may have noticed, that I haven't put up an all-new video of any kind for about 2 months. And that's because it's been the holidays, and we were traveling for Thanksgiving, then we had, our kids were back in town for Christmas and college break. I wasn't working over the holidays because I had some vacation time, and I usually do these on my commute home from work, so obviously, if I'm not commuting home from work, I don't have as much time in the car to be doing videos, and it would be weird to do it with the family along. It's weird to do it when it's just me along, quite frankly. I'm basically talking to myself in a car, which is strange. But I can tell from the comments that you're with me. So I'll give you a bit of an update on where things are with my car, which is continuing to age pretty gracefully overall. And where some of the ideas I have for some of the upcoming topics that we might have. And then I have sort of I guess we'll just call it miscellaneous ramblings at the end that I will discuss. So, to begin, this is 133,000 miles on this car now. I am running snow tires, dedicated snow tires. So the first time in several years, because I've been doing kind of the all-weather tire thing. Videos of which get a lot of thumbs up and down because the team Nokian is not keen on my take on how their tires fit this particular car in this particular type of weather. I will say that the tires I have on now, I didn't buy them. I got them from a friend. If you follow me on Twitter at Tesla Pittsburgh, you'll find what more details about that. I'm not doing very much on Twitter lately. That's a whole nother topic. I'm not really doing much on most of the social media, frankly. But so these are Pirelli Soto Zeros. They're running on a set of OEM wheels that do not have TPMS sensors in them. And interestingly, I've gone through a couple software updates since I put them on. And as far as I can tell, the car has not yet noticed that I don't have working TPMS sensors on these wheels. And that's okay, because the warning box that shows up in the display is so annoying that I will take every mile I can get without the car being aware of the fact that I don't have active sensors. And the reason I know that they aren't active sensors is because this car still has the original Baolong sensor system and does not have the upgraded one. So I don't get the, as you can find in other videos, I don't get the PSI per wheel unless I go into the service menu. And so that's the main reason why people were upgrading to the Continental system from this original system. There were other issues related to that, and well, specifically related to Tesla service and some, I think, disingenuous things that they did to encourage paid upgrades to that system. But anyway, I'm stubborn, so I still have the old system. It works perfectly well when I have the right sensors. I happen to know for a fact that these wheels do not have the right sensors. And that's why I find it kind of interesting that it hasn't figured out that I did that yet. Now, I will say that I did not change the wheel display picture in the app or on the car display, partly because I didn't want to trigger, because to do that, you trigger a TPMS reset. And I did not want to tell the car to give me an error. So, anyway, that's one other point. We'll see how these tires go in different types of weather, but so far I will say that as dedicated snow tires on the wet and snowy roads that we've had so far this winter, and we're actually getting a real winter this year, at least a real January, they're superior to the Nokians. So that's just how it is. They're not slipping nearly as much on the wet roads, and of course they've been great on the snow roads that I've taken it out in. When we have really severe weather, I don't take this car out. I do use, if it's available, one of the other two cars, because they are also running proper seasonal tires, and they are all-wheel drive, whereas this is rear-wheel drive only. And this car is almost irreplaceable now because it has the connectivity for the lifetime premium, whatever, grandfathered, and the free supercharging, which we're making more use of in the last few years than we had prior to that, because running my daughter to and from college in Ohio, which we'll be doing this weekend, actually. And kudos to the Ohio Turnpike, by the way, not for having a state trooper on every single crossover. I'm not a real big fan of that because it's just annoying and causes people to do erratic things. But I will give them kudos for having superchargers at the rest stops. and Pennsylvania Turnpike has been doing that on some of the rest stops. It would be great to have them other places as well, but if they fix the problem at Breezewood of the whole getting off the highway back on the highway thing, I'll take that instead. So along the same lines as the wheels and tires, well, I will say, so the wheels that are on here are OEM wheels. I did use a product on them because I got them free from a friend. Thanks, Dave. With the tires, and he upgraded to a new Model S, so these older wheels don't fit the newer plaid generation. The offsets are weird. They end up they're not fully compatible unless you do spacers, and he's not that guy who's going to run spacers on his car. So I'm grateful for them. They had some curb rash to them, and since I already had a set that was looked like the same basic wheels, I figured, well, what the heck, I'll go ahead and take this as an opportunity to try some of these dip products. So I have put a coat, many coats of a product called Hyper Dip on these wheels to change the color of them, which, again, if you go to my Instagram or Twitter, which should be linked in the video description or on my channel page somewhere, you can find pictures of that, what they look like now. I have not put anything up as to how I applied it, although I did document it, and I haven't really said much about it except for this video now, because I'm waiting to see how this product Hyper Dip wears over the winter, because they are on winter wheels. I figured that would be a really good durability test for it. I don't know what it would have cost to powder coat these wheels, but I know that it would be more than the like $60 or so that I paid for the Hyper Dip. And I've already had to, interestingly, I did it in the summer when it was warm, because that's when I got the snow tires, and I tried to smooth out some of the curb rash and things like that. So the wheels looked really horrid by the time I was ready to dip them, and cleaned them thoroughly, did the dip and all the things. Well, then when I stored them over the summer, I stacked them like I typically do with layers of cardboard, and in the temperature changes in my garage, or maybe it hadn't cured, or I don't know, but I ended up damaging the finish on the Hyper Dip, so I actually had to patch it I think all the wheels have some area where I had to patch it, and that gives me the opportunity to see how well patches weather the winter as well, because I figure if it can survive winter, it's probably pretty decent stuff. So we will see how they clean up whenever we get done salting the roads, which you probably can't see. Yeah, you can't see from the video. The roads are white. They use some kind of brine mixture here and then salt on top of it, and it's just horrific. But so that's something that will be coming up probably toward the end of winter or in the spring when I take them off and can really clean them up and see how well they did. I did sell my Arachnid wheels to a guy in Ohio who was very happy to get them, and I'm happy to get them out of my storage concerns. So I don't have the Arachnids anymore. I'm running 19 inches on all 3 remaining sets of wheels, because nobody needs 4 sets of wheels for a car, no matter how cool they all are. So I still have my gray turbines, I have my original wheels, and then I have a set of the original wheels which are on the car now that are Hyper Dipped gray. Not quite the same color as the turbines, but gray. And I bought some cheap center caps off eBay that fit. The color's not a perfect match, but it's good enough. I mean, all in, by the time you add in the center caps and the Hyper Dip, I got good snow tires and wheels for, I don't know, $100 and something maybe in my investment, and many thanks to my friends who gave them to me. So that's where that stands. I probably am going to be coming up on getting the suspension work done. I found a shop locally that will do the bolt cutting and reversal on the front arm that needs it, and the rear arm that likely also has to be cut. Some of the early Model S's, there were so many changes to that rear subframe, wheel well, cabin, whatever, bulkhead, that some of them the bolts come out and some of them they don't. You have to cut them, and I don't know how you would know which car you have until you tried to take out the bolts. So who knows where we will be with that. But I found a shop that's willing to do the work if I can get the parts. And when you figure with these suspension parts and these bushings and stuff, you're always trying to load the suspension before you tighten up the bolts. And it just doesn't make any sense for me to try and do that in my garage if I have a shop that's willing to help me do the hard stuff. So I'm going to let them do the hard stuff, most likely, once I figure out which parts I want and how far I want to go with some of the other parts to be replaced in the while you're at it sort of category. At the moment, I'm leaning toward leaving the struts on there because there's nothing leaking and they don't seem to need that. And I also believe I could swap out the struts without affecting the alignment. If anybody knows about the alignment and the struts, that's really what I'm trying to do, is get the work done, get the alignment done, and get my state inspection done at the same shop all in one big visit, and not spend a lot of cold afternoons swearing at my car in my garage in winter trying to get that stuff done before the inspection. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. My rear brakes are also the original rotors and pads still at 133,000 miles. So there's probably a decent chance that those are coming up on being ready to do something with. I do the yearly, actually twice a year, where I kind of pop things loose and lubricate them, move them around and things like that. So I am keeping up on that, not as religiously as I used to. I used to pull the pads all the way out and the whole thing, and now I will admit that for time purposes I've gotten a little lazier, and I kind of pop the pins and give everything a wiggle, and maybe once a year I'll actually take it all apart. And I think I may have missed one of those because of road trips or family visits or whatever. So hopefully that doesn't burn me. But I do check the rotors to make sure all the faces are smooth and shiny. And that was the first tip off years ago when I had to do my front brakes because of rust, which you can find the video of how to do that and why and all the things also on this channel. Hopefully that's not an inspection issue. We'll find out. So that is where the updates are on the car. And hang on, there's a truck trying to do weird things here. I'm going to get in front of this truck. That's what I love about this. You just kind of give it a little push and you're gone. I do have some other random thoughts, which I could get into. I don't know how much you want to do. Well, I'll leave it at this. So it's been 2 months since I did a fully new video. I had suggested in some that maybe I'd throw up some Lego stuff. I don't know if there's interest in Lego on this channel or not. I love Lego. I always have. Many great moments doing Lego with my kids, especially with my son, who really got into it, still is into it, and I'm still into it. And I got Lego. I got the McLaren Senna for Christmas, and I have a Concorde from last year that I still got to construct. Wow, this is a giant truck, which you will see right there. Anyway, so I figure I might as well put things on this channel, which is monetized, versus my other channel, which YouTube changed the requirements and demonetized for whatever dumb reasons they had at the time, which is, I think, primarily not paying me and other people money. So I will be putting that on here, and as a way of introducing that, I re-uploaded a video from 2018, and it is kind of the story of me and Lego, or our family and Lego, I should say, and hopefully that'll give you some context as to where I'm at with that. And it was also done in the car this style, although I had the camera set up on the far side when I did that one. This is a lot easier. So that is up today as I record this, and you can watch that. And then other things that will be coming. I still have a door handle to fix, which I may do a video on. It's a back door handle, which I'm really dreading because they're hard to get those in and out. I'm probably not going to do videos on the suspension because I'm just an old, tired man at this point and don't want to do it myself. But I will do one on the hyper dip on the wheels. And then, I have a buffing compound that and some old body panels that when it gets warmer, I will do a video on that too, because this stuff is amazing, and even an idiot like me can fix scratches. So I'll do a video on that because I'm really impressed by it. Of course, as soon as I said that, I got into the garage and I put it in park, and immediately there it is. It came up. So I'm going to try and reset that and see if I can spoof the system and get another month or so out of these sensors not being read correctly, because that's really how I prefer it. I prefer not to have my sensors being read. And I guess I might as well take the opportunity now to change my wheel setup, wherever that is. It's been so long, so is it under controls? No, I don't know. I have to look for it. Anyway, let's talk about other things. All right, so normally I do these as a non-editing thing, but whatever. I have my usual notes and a couple other things I wanted to just chit-chat with, so I'll do it in the comfort of my garage, and that's why the seatbelt's off. I'm not actually driving anymore. I'm just glaring at my screen with its now very strident message that my TPMS is not working. Oh, you know what? The little error box just slid down, so now it's just the light. That must be a change, because I remember ranting and raving in an earlier video about how once you had the TPMS error, that giant box was on the screen screaming at you all the time. Every time you look down, there's this giant box. So maybe they listened and made that go away and just have the little light in the upper corner as the persistent warning. If that's the case, and anybody from Tesla who had anything to do with getting rid of that giant box sees this, thank you so much. That's all. I'm fine with the warning light. It was a giant box I hated. All right, well, I'm still going to try and reset it, see if I can spoof it. Anyway, other things it's going to talk about. IMSA this year, if you are at all interested in racing of any kind, I don't care whether it's NASCAR, IndyCar, anything involving four wheels and going fast on a track, and you are not watching IMSA this season, you're really missing out. They are having a fantastic moment in the history of the sport. We go to Watkins Glen last few years, me and my son, and it's a really great event to go to. You can find videos of that also on this channel. But if you're not watching IMSA, you are missing or going to miss one of the next golden eras of sports car racing. It's going to be a fantastic year. I'm really looking forward to it. We will be at Watkins Glen again this year, well, as far as I know, and everybody should be doing that. Honeybees, I did do a little video on the bees when I did a hive check, I don't know, sometime before Christmas. There will be more bee content along with some Lego content coming up as events warrant. I'm not one who just throws things up unless I have a reason to. Although I am putting this video up because it's been 2 months and I felt like I was due to do something. So there will still be stuff coming. Right now we have 3 hives. They're all doing well. So as far as I know, I was in there about a week ago or so restocking their supplies, and it all looked good. If you're at all interested in the honeybee stuff, the videos will show up here, but I also put things on Facebook and Twitter under our Dandelion Apiary account. So if you're into beekeeping or at all curious about that, that's where you'll find those things. We saw the movie Wicked this week. I remember growing up watching musicals on TV, and it's a little bit weird nowadays to go find a musical, it seems like. And I didn't know much about it going into it because I'd not seen the Broadway show, and I have very purposely not been following interviews and stuff with the stars of the movie because I knew I wanted to see it because I liked this idea of doing the story of Wizard of Oz from the other perspective. So I purposely stayed away from all of that stuff. I am not going to give you any spoilers here because I don't want to ruin it for anybody. But I will say that when the first scene came on, I was kind of like, well, now I don't know how this is going to go. And then almost immediately after, the name of the actress is Cynthia something, but she plays the Wicked Witch. She came on the screen. Of course, we saw her before in the movie Harriet, which was superb. But she's so captivating. The camera just loves her, even when she has green skin. And I was in from that moment on, and it was so immersive, and I really got into it. And I want to say that you can tell that this movie is adapted from a play in the sense that it has movements to it, just like a play has acts and would have an intermission and then like another act. And it does have that feel to it. But of course, there's no intermission when you see it in the theater. And as a professional editor, I often see very long movies and think, well, there's probably places they could cut. I watched this wondering if it really merited being the length that it is, and I got to tell you, there's not really any meat on the bone there. They probably lengthened scenes for the movie compared to what it would be in a play because they could get that camera in close to get the real reading of emotion. Whereas when you're in an audience in a theater, to see it in person, you can't see the people on the stage that closely unless you're in like the front row. But in a movie environment, you can get the camera in there to get all of the unspoken acting. and they let those moments breathe, and kudos to them for doing that, because it really it deserves the length that it is. It's that good. The whole thing I was just really impressed by, really blown away. It was not, I don't know, I don't really know. I guess I went in slightly skeptical and maybe a little bit like, well, I don't know how it's going to, really good. Everything's really good. Just superb. Go see it. If it's still in the theater when you watch this, go. If it's not in the theater, then get yourself an OLED TV and watch it at home, because I will say, now that I have a giant OLED TV, the blacks in the movie theater, because it's projected, are not black, they're dark gray, and the contrast looks all weird to me compared to what I'm used to watching at home. And I've kind of become a bit of an OLED nerd, I think. I really like the way the OLED looks. So anyway, it's not the worst. But if you watch it at home, you can go get snacks, go to the bathroom anytime you want, which is great. So that's my movie recommendation. Other news this week, there's the Model Y Juniper sightings are getting a little bit more frequent. I have thoughts on that. I'm not going to spend it here, other than to say that, has anybody seen any good news about a Model S and X like surviving at all? Because those numbers for the fourth quarter, not very good. And I will say that my local delivery center sold out of just about everything they had. I think literally everything on the lot that was a 3Y, X, or S sold at the end of last year. But right now, or at least as of yesterday, they had 12 Cybertrucks covered in snow that have been there since before Christmas. It's the only thing in stock. It's 12 Cybertrucks. We'll talk about that some other time too, probably see how that goes on. And then one last thing is, yesterday was the 175th anniversary of the election of Pittsburgh Mayor Joseph Barker. I posted this on my Twitter, a link to a story that I had written several years ago about Mayor Joseph Barker. If you want a wild read, go on my Twitter, or if I remember, I'll come back and put the link in the description of this video. Go find the story of Mayor Joseph Barker. It's a wild ride, and you'll see a lot of interesting parallels to today, even though that story is 175 years old. And it's one of my favorite Pittsburgh stories ever. It just really is. It's just great. Not because I wrote it, but I mean the real story of it. So that is everything I had on my list. And I didn't manage to get it done in the drive home, which is usually my goal, so that these aren't too long, but what are you going to do? I've been accused of rambling. Hopefully I kept it a little tighter and just had more to say about more things, and you'll appreciate the diversity of it. All right, there will be more videos coming as conditions warrant, as it's worth my time to make them and your time, presumably, to watch. Thank you so far. Subscribe if you're new. And again, look out for that Lego and beekeeping content. I'll be sprinkling it in here and there, and they'll also be on their own playlist too. Hopefully you find that diverse interest also interesting to you.